Today, though, we're going to talk about sexually silent women and women who don't talk about sex and can't talk about sex. So, hey, here we go. Let's jump in. Everybody, today is Friday, June 23rd. It is 9:30 a.m. We are in the beautiful city of Atlanta, Georgia, and we are um, working at Atlanta Sex Therapy, which is a behavioral health, mental health private practice that specializes with working with people with sexual issues with that. So look at this little piece of hair that just won't do right. Do right, little piece. So anyway, all right. So this is what I mean by sexually silent women. Women who come into my office and I say, okay, tell me what's going on, and they break down crying.
Mm.
And we spend the whole first session just helping them get the words out of what's going on with them sexually. We've had clients that can't say any words that have anything to do with sex. They can't say the word sex itself. They can't verbalize, articulate anything regarding what they would like sexually. Um, and like they just really shut down and start crying with that. And so we want to give you guys tips and skills to work with that today. Because I know many of you guys won't ever make it into the office. You don't know that Atlanta Sex Therapy is here. Hopefully, this video will get out and that people will know that we're here. Because that's sometimes what we do. Sometimes our work is just helping clients get comfortable with the conversations regarding sex. So if you're going to have a sexual partner
I'm
for
a
10, 20,
Sharon.
30, 40, 50 years, you're going to need to be able to talk about sex with them, just like you're going to need to be able to talk about finances. You're going to need to be able to talk about parenting. You're going to need to be able to talk about friendships, relationships, work environments. So there's a myriad of conversations that you will need to have to be in a long-term committed relationship, and sex is one of them. So good morning, Sherry, and everybody. This is the fabulous Sherry and Phelps, and she is on staff here at Atlanta Sex Therapy. And Sherry, and this morning we are talking about sexually silent women, those women that come in your office. It's like they're scared to death to be here. That you say hello and they're clutching their pearls with that, and they can't even say the word sex. Like they can't. They just kind of shut down and start crying. Like you like, I really do feel like I've had a couple of clients and I'm like, okay, hello, tell me what's going on. And they just break down crying. Like, okay, okay. And I have a supervisee, and I just instructed her with a particular client. You're gonna have to make her say the word sex. Y'all gonna have to probably spend a whole session just saying the word sex and being comfortable. And so what I directed them to do is, all right, let's identify. It's just a word. It's just a word. It means various things with that. So take a deep breath, relax your body, be in your adult self, and say the word sex. Sex. And then they usually will break down crying with that. And it could be some trauma with that, or it could just be like they've always stayed away from the topic and now there's some pain associated with it for various reasons. Usually because they feel like they're not performing up to par, or they can't have this relationship with their partner, or their partner is very frustrated with them or something. And so really we're going to then want them to just practice, practice, practice saying all of the words. And we might spend a couple of weeks until you are now comfortable like saying it. And it's so funny because I do remember one client, and then I'm gonna give you guys the floor to talk about them as well. Is she was like, oh my God, I made it through a session today without crying. Like, yay, you got it. You're doing it. Like, yes, you did make it without crying. And so now we got to up the ante with that.
Right.
Uh, with that. Another good way to get comfortable with sexual topics is to read a book with that. So usually the number one book that I want clients to read is a book called Sexual Intelligence by Dr. Marty Klein. The number 2 book I want women to read is usually Becoming Cliterate by Dr. Lori Mintz. For women, the number 3 book I would want you to read is what's that book called? Come As You Are, right here.
Yes, Come As You Are.
Yes, by Emily Nagoski. Come As You Are. It's the pink one. So sexual intelligence is going to tell you basically there's no normal sex. Okay. Becoming Cliterate is going to tell you all about your clitoris and also about a little bit about male anatomy as she just kind of breaks down some different things regarding the female body with that, and female orgasm. And then Come As You Are really explains female sexuality with that. And then I think if you can get a good understanding of yourself and you're reading that information, because as we read, we pick up vocabulary, right? Have y'all ever read a book and be like, oh, I don't know that word. Okay, now I have that word. It was used in context. Sometimes we got to go to Google. That was my whole grad school life. And learning the words for this field, like what was that? Psychopathology. I spent every other second looking up a word just to make it through the text. But that's how a lot of us learn vocabulary. And so if you are a person who's having a hard time talking about sex, then start reading some books, and that should give you some ideas and open up your vocabulary around sex. All right, Jessica Addison, you were here first, and then we'll go to you, Sharon. All right, what tips would you give? Ooh, I'm gonna turn it around. What tips would you give a man who's trying to talk to his girlfriend, his wife, his fiance about sexual things, and she just shuts down and isn't talking? What would you tell him?
I would ask him to tell her, or I would have him to ask her, I'm sorry, what's her like sexual background? What's her sexual history? Like, what has she done in the past? And then with everybody, when you ask them something like that, it always comes with a story of this is what happened. And teach them how to deconstruct that story to like get to the specifics of like what happened, how did you feel, how did your body feel? And then when you deconstruct it, you can really get to the core of why they created this fluff or this anxiety around sex, and even saying the word is just, they cringe at it. So really like sitting down and being patient with them and just breaking down their story so they can get the whole spiel about how they feel about sex and their experience.
And I would add to that, it has to be without judgment.
Yeah.
So if you open your mouth and somebody's like, oh, I can't believe you mean you really ain't never, or you really, or I can't, then why are they going to continue to talk to you? They're not going to feel safe. So please make sure when you're asking a person questions that you keep it nice and neutral. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. But anytime you go into judgment, and sometimes I know a lot of people, they don't mean to judge. It's just a reaction. But I think around these really sensitive topics, you're going to have to make sure that you are staying neutral. I'm going to say equivalent to if a teenager was talking to you about sex. If you want them to keep talking to you about sex, you're going to have to stay neutral. And matter of fact, I remember a colleague of mine saying she gave a talk, and then this teenager came and asked her about anal sex. And she was just like the mom in her wanted to be like, what are you doing? Wait, what do you mean? Like, well, what's going on? But she was like, I'm a professional. I needed to be a professional, and I needed to give her good quality information. She asked because she didn't know. And what do I want her to know? Do I want her to know the truth, or do I want her to be scared and then go to the internet with that? So, okay. All right, Sherry, let's say a guy's calling you and he's like, hey, I can't get my girl to talk about anything, and we're not having a good sex life, and she just starts crying. I need help. What would you tell him to do? He's out there now, looking at this video, wanting to know, please help me figure this out.
I would say starting with himself and explaining the importance of why it's important for him to even understand her sexually and want to have this conversation. So if he opens up vulnerable first, then that may give her the safeness and the security to open up vulnerable. So it's almost like, how does she follow his lead in vulnerability? So I'm going to show you my vulnerable side. And then I want you, hopefully that will present enough safety for her to then at least take small steps, and him
Mhm.
just figuring out what's the first thing you comfortable with starting with talking about. So it's
Mhm.
almost like he expressed his vulnerability to her, and then in return she gives him a little bit. So
Mhm.
maybe it's a big goal, but maybe
Mhm.
the big goal is she just opens up and had these sexual conversations about any and
Mhm.
everything. But
Mhm.
maybe that can't be something that's obtainable in one conversation. So maybe
Mhm.
it's smaller conversations you have to have over time, even just to make it safe. So she'll know, oh, I
Mhm.
open up about this. For
Mhm.
an example, like Jessica said, sexual history. Okay.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, there was no judgment.
Mhm.
Interest was taking place in my story.
Mhm.
Then we
Mhm.
moved to the next category that they
Mhm.
open to talking about, because we don't know why this person has the type of relationship with the word sex or the
Mhm.
behavior sex that's
Yeah.
causing them to withdraw from the conversation.
Yeah. That's so
That's
good. All right. What that's also bringing up for me, first of all, people out there in the world, I realize that I've been talking about this thus far, like in a very heterosexual terms, but I have lesbian couples that deal with the same thing. I have gay male couples that deal with the exact same thing. So it's not a heterosexual problem with that. And actually, I was on the phone with Lamar yesterday and we were talking about sexually silent men. And so I thought it'd be real nice today talking about sexually silent women with that. And so I would like to say, start wherever you can start. Okay. So if you can't start face to face, sitting at the kitchen table with the lights on, then maybe we need to move to the couch and you don't look at me. You turn around
yeah.
and we're gonna be back to back. All right, if we can't do that, then maybe you need to take the cell phone and go in the bedroom and I'll be here on the living room, like with teenagers again, on the phone at night talking. Do we need to do it with the lights off and have this conversation? So start wherever you can start. And the other thing in general, if you are scared of doing something, the only way to get over that is to do it. It just is what it is. And so a lot of people can identify with this. If you move to Atlanta, especially from a smaller metropolitan area, 285 will usually scare you to death with that. And then the only way to get over that is to drive on 285 and then drive some more and then drive some more, then drive some more. Then next thing you know, you're the one in the fast lane going 90 miles per hour. Can't understand why these people don't understand the difference between a fast lane and a slow lane with that. But it's going to take you facing the fear. Also, I want and I'm gonna go back around and see what your advice would be to women for both of you guys. But dang, now I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. I want, if you know, let me tell y'all this little story. So right when I was super saved around like 25, I remember being at church and this lady was like, all y'all who want to get married, she was a pastor. I wish I could find her now. She was like, all y'all want to get married, come up here and we're gonna pray for y'all. And then she said, but if you ain't ready to have sex, don't you get in this line. And I was like, why would she say that? Like, what? Okay, that's interesting. And so, oh, and then like nobody else had ever said that. I only heard it that one time. And so I think I've seen situations in session, both males and females, when one person wasn't ready to be sexually active and yet they're wanting to get married to this person. And so if that's you, that's part of the work you need to be doing as a single person of, let me make sure I'm working through my sexual issues. Let me make sure I can have a conversation with a person. Let me make sure I can advocate for myself sexually. And so if you know it's the issue, you got to work on it. Just like if you know I handle my finances terribly, and adding a partner to my financial life is going to cause him, her, or anybody a lot of grief. I need to get this in some type of semblance of an order that I can at least explain to another person with that, because I want to be partnered. I cleaning your house. Okay, I know I can't be partnered living like this. I'm gonna have to like clean up a little bit so I can invite them over and they not feel like roaches are crawling on them. Like these are all things that people know they need to do when it's time to be partnered let me get a better job, or let me get a different job. And I've seen it go both ways. I've seen people like, if your job has you traveling 366 days of the year and you want a partner, okay, I'm gonna have to come out this job and find a job that probably will allow me to spend time with a partner with that. And so sex is just also one of those things that you need to look at. How am I sexually? Am I able to have a conversation with a potential partner? What am I able to give sexually? What am I not able to give sexually? What do I believe should happen sexually when we're dating versus when we're engaged versus when we're married? All right, because that differs. I have some people who really believe that blowjobs should not happen in the dating process, nor the engagement process. That's something that's reserved for marriage with that. But it wasn't communicated in the dating process. And so let's say 10 years later, they're in my office talking about, well, we don't really have the sex life we want. We both want something different, but we haven't talked about it. Oh, okay. Well, what did y'all decide? Well, we've never talked about anything. Okay. All of that needs to be talked about. It really does. So, okay. All right. I'm gonna go back around. So Sherry, what would you say to jump in? So I really want you to answer the question, what would you tell a woman with that, who's in a relationship and she's shutting down sexually, and this her partner is wanting to have sex with her, right? Which is usually a valid
Okay,
request.
so we'll take it in the context of we've explored everything: religion, medical. We're gonna say we discovered that and we figured everything's checking out positive.
Yeah.
No medical, no sexual trauma.
Yeah.
No religious, anything.
Yeah.
And I would just tell her it's okay for women to enjoy sex too. You don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's no stigma.
I need you to say that again and say that loud and proud. Like, oh, that hurt my heart. Yes, say it.
You can enjoy sex as a woman. Like, you're definitely not gonna be a slut.
Right.
You're definitely not gonna be a hoe.
Right.
You're definitely not gonna be all of these things that come attached to a woman who's like, hell yeah, I want it this way, that way, the other way. Like, you can definitely do that.
You definitely can.
Especially if it's aligned with your values and your morals, then you go ahead and do what you need to do.
Get it. Sharing all that, because it hurts my heart, because I've heard women who were married with their husband in my office sitting there begging them to be more sexual, and they've said something to, well, I'm scared to be a slut, or I don't want to be a slut, or I don't want to be blah blah blah, or I don't want him to think badly of me. Okay, but do you see his face? Do you see your partner's face? Do you see her face? They're asking you to be your full sexual self, and you're scared that they're gonna judge you. So partners, please make sure you aren't judging with that, definitely. But being people who have been judged, and I'm gonna say 50% of the time, it's because they got judged by a previous partner or a previous experience, and they're bringing that into the current relationship, and that's not the case. Like, it's just not the case. Okay, what, Sharon?
And it's just that whole, that's why I say when it fits in with your traditions and values. Yeah. Everybody don't have to be married to enjoy sex. Everybody don't view it the same. So that's what that means when I say that. People just say, as long as I'm committed and they love me and I like them. Right. So in that context, stop withholding sex like they a boyfriend.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like they haven't already invested. They married to you now. Right. Why are you doing this to a person? That's what you do in them stages. Oh, now he gonna get it whenever he wanna get it. So stop. He done did the work. He married you. Girl. He's not your boyfriend no more.
So I literally, and it's been a long time since I said this in session, but for a while, it must have been, y'all know, I don't know, Jessica, you probably hadn't experienced this shit, but it's like you get like a flood of the same cases with that, like flood of the same cases all at the same time. So for a while, I really just kept asking people, okay, but they bought the cow. Why can't they get the milk for free now?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
But they paid for it. Like they've been paying for it. Like we're not talking about y'all got married yesterday and they just started paying for it. No, they've been paying for it. They've been a solid partner for the last 5 years, and there's still this tit for tat. You can't, because you're going to take advantage of me, or you're going to use and abuse me. And it's like, okay, but they took care of you when you were sick last year. So what's this?
And then
What's that
when
about?
they paying all the bills, not that that's the only thing. They be like, well, I work too. Yeah, but
yeah,
you making $60,000 and you just paying the electric bill, and you telling me about how you about to go to France, how you about to. So I'm not sure what else does he needs to do for you to still be mad and spread them legs.
And I'm wondering, because I'm wondering, is that another way for you to protect yourself because you haven't done your work, because you have your own insecurities about it? And so I'm just gonna no, because you haven't done enough. Also, partners, you're wanting your partner to be sexually open with you, and sometimes you berate them. So you can't cuss somebody out in the morning and tell them they the scum of the earth, and then in the evening, why won't you talk to me? Why won't you open up? Why won't you tell me your desires? Because I can't trust you. I can't. You just emotionally beat me up with that, and now you want me to tell you my fantasies, my deepest dark desires. You want me to open up to you about, essentially, when I do therapy, I always call it, I will get to work with clients with their most private pain. And so your most private moments, your most private desires, I'm supposed to open up to you when you abused me or you didn't handle me well previously. Okay, Jessica, I want to make sure we're giving you time to talk. And we got 5 minutes left, and I got to get off at 10 on the dot. I got clients.
I was going to add to what both of you guys said, because I don't say I hate, or I don't like when women say, oh, all he talk about is sex. All we talk about sex. We get on finances. Can we just have one day not talk about sex? If that's your only issue, y'all have to talk about it. And and what you said, I think I said in the last video, when you go on the first date, or even when y'all in a relationship, those conversations about finances, religion, and values, sex is a part of that because it's within the relationship. So stop making it its own separate black sheep of a conversation, and that's what makes it scary, because you guys have separated it so much that to the point you think it is scary, and it's not. It's a part of the relationship. So don't think he's just trying to get something from you, which he kind of is, but you can benefit from this too, and you're gonna feel pleasure.
Right.
So don't be afraid of it. It's a part of the conversation.
That was an excellent point. Go ahead, Sharon.
I tell my monogamous couples, well, who else they gonna get it from?
Right? Who else do you want them having a conversation
they say how horny as hell for months. Who else? How else is that gonna work in your monogamous structure?
Right.
That's it. You have to agree to say, wait, you can have hall passes, or you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna make this work.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. I think, I wanted to say something else and I forgot it. Golly, I'm not having a good mental day.
We on fire this morning, look, and I was dragging it.
Right. We are getting on fire. Well, let me say this. I was gonna say this. All right. If I am hungry, the only thing I'm talking about probably is about food. If I'm really hungry, please don't talk to me about nothing else until I eat. I can't hear you right now. Let me go eat, and then I come back and listen to you. That's how sex occurs for me, in a hunger. And so if they're talking to you about it all the time, I need you to hear that as, okay, I don't think my mate is sexually satisfied with that. That's not going to be the case 100% of the time, because there really are some jerks out there and really are some sex addicts. But that's only probably about 10-15% with that. The majority of you guys, I need you to hear that as, is my partner satisfied? Because when you're satisfied, you're not talking about what I'm going to eat, right? You're not thinking about it. You can get into a work zone and you're not thinking about it for hours. You can go play and you're not thinking about it. with that. You can enjoy your partner and you're not thinking about it. But when you're hungry, you're going to think about it. You want it with that. So I want y'all to hear that. Closing thoughts in the last 2 minutes. Jessica Addison, closing thoughts.
The only way not to be silent is to speak out loud.
Yeah.
See what's going on with each other calmly in a non-judgmental way.
Okay. Last thought sharing.
Be vulnerable for each other and just enjoy sex. Just not that deep.
Yeah.
All right. And mine is, if it is that deep for you, come in and talk to us. Come in and talk to us. So this is about half of us right here. So we have 3 other clinicians on staff. Somebody you could start the conversation with to say, hey, this is what happened, or hey, this is what I'm experiencing. Or you might just have to come in and cry for a couple of sessions until we figure it out. We might have to start with pictures. That's okay. But I need you to know, if you're going to be in a committed relationship with somebody, a romantic relationship, for the most part, usually requires sex. That's the romantic part of it. And if you're not ready to have sex, then you need to make that clear to your partner. The other thing I want to say in the last 2 seconds is, if you cannot meet your partner's sexual needs and y'all can't come to a good compromise, then there has to be a plan.
Yeah.
There has to be a plan. You, the low sexual desire can't be, we only gonna have it as much as I want to have it, and then that's it, and you just got to be over there starving. That cannot be the thing with that. And then I really hate when it's that type of thing, and it's and then you better not look at another woman, or you better not look at another man, or you better not look at whatever, or you better not look at porn, or you better not do this, or all of these restrictions. I think you're setting yourself. Say what? Who just said something? Sherry, I think you said something. Okay, maybe I just heard feedback. I'm sorry.
I heard that too.
I would just say, yeah, come as a couple, come up with a plan together of what you guys both can live with. Because if it's one person just making all these edicts on, according to, they're not trying to step outside the box and compromise at all, I think you're setting yourself up for failure. You setting yourself up for failure. I don't really like McDonald's, but when I'm hungry, I go to McDonald's. I'd rather go
and
to
then
Chipotle.
Complain. That's me.
Right. I'd rather go to Chipotle.
I'd be like, maybe it'll taste different.
I'd rather go to Papa Do's. But if I'm hungry and I need it quick, I know to go to get a McDonald's to give me number 11 combo, light tartar sauce, and I'm going to be a happy girl. So anyway, all right, we're a minute over. Y'all have a great day. Thank you, ladies, for giving me your time. All right, talk to you later. I hope you enjoyed our content today. We are here at Atlanta Sex Therapy to serve. If you did like our content, please subscribe, and share it with a friend. Also, click the little bell so you can get notifications when we put new videos out. People don't know what sex therapists do, and we're trying to get the information out there and spread the word. So I'm going to ask you to send this to 3 people, because you never know who may be in need of more good information about sex. Thank you, and just have a wonderful day in life.